With arrows flying, speedsters running, and aliens from Krypton landing on Earth, there's so many big events in the Arrowverse that it's easy to miss some of the smaller moments. Well, there's no worries, because we've gathered all of the Arrowverse Easter eggs here for you today. Join us as we reflect on multiple Batman references, classic TV shoutouts, and so many great comic book moments found in the Elseworlds crossover.
Happy? Ecstatic.
Apparently you guys aren't done fooling around.
Well, guess I'm running alone.
The Elseworlds crossover event sent Barry and Oliver on quite a journey. Oliver became a speedster, the duo were thrust into multiple alternate timelines, and at one point they were both in Gotham City, dressed like a pair of classic robbers. Barry and Oliver get confronted by the Gotham City Police Department. When the police pull up, take a close look at the street signs. One street is named Burton, while the other is named Nolan. Of course, those are the names of Tim Burton and Christopher Nolan. The directors have made 5 Batman films collectively, and the street name choices were a nice shout out to the Batman visionaries. Turns out for the first couple of seasons, we were all duped by the production crew of The Flash. After the first 2 seasons ended, Barry Allen portrayer Grant Gustin revealed a hidden secret. In a majority of the scenes at the Central City Police Station, there was a rubber duck featured in the scene. The duck may have been on a desk or a clear evidence bag. The fact is that no one noticed the pattern, and the use of the rubber duck has become a great tradition for the show. The Elseworlds crossover event was like a love letter to the world of DC movies and comics. Thanks to the introduction of Batwoman, the crossover was the best way for the Arrowverse to highly entertain us with all types of Batman references. Look back at the scene where the characters explore the storage area of Arkham Asylum. Watch for a suspicious mask sitting on one of the shelves. The mask is a replica of Bane's mask from The Dark Knight Rises. The mask has a signature design look and is unmistakable from the movie version. Now that Batwoman is an official series, maybe they could get a version of Bane to make an appearance. In Season 6 of Arrow, Oliver Queen and his crew of heroes found themselves going up against the criminal mastermind Cayden James. A big part of James's plan was initiating attacks against some major companies. The Sunderland Corporation was an evil company who appeared in the Swamp Thing comic books. Their goal was to capture Swamp Thing for experiments. The second company with ties to the comics was Amertech. This company is pretty well known in the Superman comic books and was the former employer of the hero known as Steel. Knowing the corrupt nature of these companies in the comics has us wondering if Cayden James was actually not so evil after all. Smallville helped lead the way for the Arrowverse, but up until the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, the series was not connected to shows like Arrow and Supergirl in any way. While on Supergirl they did make a reference that gave us hopes a Smallville connection would be a definitive one in the future. A flashback in the episode Midvale focuses on Kara and Alex's relationship as kids. In the story, they make mention of Chloe and her wall of weird. The elements are crucial to the Smallville universe, and were original creations just for the show. When Barry Allen first gets introduced on Arrow, we follow his origin story and the powers he developed due to the creation of the particle accelerator. In one of the scenes, Allen uses a magazine to cover his head and block the rain. The magazine is called the Scientific Showcase, which also appeared in the pilot episode of The Flash as well. The magazine is a reference to the Showcase comic book, the same one where the Flash made his debut way back in 1956. After getting presented in the comic, The Flash eventually got his own solo series. Another fun fact, the Scientific Showcase magazine also made an appearance in the DC show Constantine. The Legends of Tomorrow mixes superheroes with time travel for some pretty fun and incredible results. For Season 3, the team has to go back in time and fix some mistakes they made. In the episode Freak Show, we see most of the team agree to travel back onto the Titanic right before the ship sinks. The one person protesting the heroes boarding the ship? Professor Stein. He even goes so far as to state,
"I refuse to set foot on the Titanic. Whoever built that ship ought to be shot."
Anyways...
Funny thing is that Professor Stein is played by Victor Garber, who played the infamous shipbuilder in the epic James Cameron film Titanic. On The Flash, one of the more memorable stories came when Cisco and Ralph were shrunk down in the episode Honey, I Shrunk Team Flash. The heroes had to go up against Dwarf Star, and it was up to Wells to try and create a solution for the duo to return back to normal size. His brilliant idea? An embiggening bazooka. Sounds like a fancy science name, but in reality, the name itself is completely fictitious. The term comes from the Simpsons episode Lisa the Iconoclast. In the 1996 episode, we see the town of Springfield's slogan is actually a noble spirit embiggens the smallest man. So yeah, we're still a little unsure of what exactly embiggens is supposed to mean, but we all love a good reference to the Simpsons. The Arrowverse kicked off the Elseworlds crossover in an epic fashion by showcasing the destruction of Earth 90. While this Earth's version of the Flash managed to survive, the opening shot quickly scans by a lot of heroes who have perished. The scene goes by quick, but we'll help point out some of these heroes. There's Stargirl, who appeared on the show Smallville and has her own solo series set for the DC Universe streaming service. Close by is Ray, who we first met in the Arrowverse crossover Crisis on Earth X. There's a Green Arrow, but not the Stephen Amell version of the Vigilante. This version is actually dressed almost identically as the Smallville version of the Green Arrow. If all the heroes of the Arrowverse are actual DC heroes, then what types of fictional heroes do normal citizens of Star City and Central City enjoy? Well, thanks to some small moments on the show, we know that Marvel Comics actually exists in the Arrowverse world. The first example comes from the Flash episode Therefore I Am. As Barry becomes suspicious of Clifford DeVoe, he expresses his feelings in the only way he knows how, by saying,
My spidey sense is just tingling way off the charts.
The second Marvel reference comes from the Flash episode Girls Night Out. As Caitlin describes the appearance of her Killer Frost persona, Felicity is quick to point out that her powers are very similar to the Incredible Hulk. The CW's Flash is a super successful series, but it's not the first time the hero has had a solo series. Even though the 1990 version of The Flash only lasted for a single season, the new version has honored the show in more ways than one. On the Arrowverse version of The Flash, we meet the trickster's sidekick Prank, played by Corinne Bohrer. Corinne actually played the same character in the original version of the show, and the show creators used some classic backstage photos to make the updated appearance feel even more authentic. Too bad her role only lasted a single episode before Barry Allen and his super pals were able to stop the trickster and his son once again. There aren't too many pets featured in the Arrowverse, but when there are, they usually have a history with DC Comics. Just take a look at the Supergirl episode Legion of Superheroes for a great example. When Kara looks back on a picture of the past, we see a cat that she refers to as Streaky. Streaky brings a lot more than just comfort to Kara in the comic books. The cat is actually a part of the Legion of Super Pets with Krypto the Superdog. Barry Allen sure had his hands full during the episode The Trial of the Flash. Not only was he facing charges after getting framed, but the speedster had to deal with Fallout, a villain who emits radiation. Thankfully, Allen wasn't alone as Vibe came in for the assist. When he was planning to get rid of the excess radiation, Earth 15 was chosen as the prime location because that Earth was dead. While we didn't get any more details, DC comic fans may recognize the Earth 15 reference from the Countdown to Final Crisis, where it was a Superman Prime who actually destroyed the whole planet. As the Arrowverse grows and grows each season, it's fun to see the fictional world develop and expand. One area that we've seen multiple times are the forms of entertainment the Arrowverse citizens get to enjoy. In the movie world, it seems like one of the big fictional heroes is Blue Devil, a DC Comics character from the 80s who is actually a former Hollywood stunt performer turned hero. The Flash helped continue the Blue Devil reference with a movie marquee that reads Blue Devil 2: Hell to Pay. Sounds like a fun time at the movies, but we cannot imagine Barry Allen or Oliver Queen wanting to see a superhero movie after spending all day and night protecting their cities. Some of the classic DC villains are a little too cheesy and outdated to really feel relevant in the modern Arrowverse, but that doesn't mean the show cannot have a lot of fun referencing them. In the Supergirl episode For Good, we hear a small speech from Mon-El about taking a villain called Computo. Not only is the name cheesy, but Computo looks like it was made in a world where writers didn't know what the future of computers or robots would even be like. While seeing Supergirl destroy Computo and blow the bot to bits would have been pretty awesome, the supercomputer is better off staying in the DC archives rather than on the big screen. Leave it to Ralph Bigby to provide some of the best one-liners in The Flash and mix in a pop culture reference for good measure.
Oh, is that my face?
The one we're focused on today comes from the Elseworlds crossover and the big battle against the android Amazo. After getting whooped by the bot, Ralph mentioned how the thing Klaatu Barada kick-toed all their superhero butts, while the line itself was from another robot movie, the alien invasion film Day the Earth Stood Still. The line was also used again in Bruce Campbell's Army of Darkness, so maybe Ralph was layering on the pop culture references, but either way, it was a funny moment to include on the show. We already mentioned the Legion of Superheroes episode of Supergirl with the cat known as Streaky, but the show has also featured another great reference packed into the episode. In a monologue from Brainiac 5, he refers to a terrible event that occurs on Earth in the year 2455. While he doesn't make a direct mention of the term the Great Disaster, this was most likely exactly what he was referring to. In the series Kamandi, The Last Boy on Earth, almost all traces of human life were destroyed, including their history, arts, and culture. Basically, human life as we know it was wiped off of planet Earth, making the name The Great Disaster feel like a massive understatement. One of the highlights was seeing Lois Lane on the screen again. In a matter of just a few episodes, we found out she was pregnant and got engaged to Clark. The character definitely stood out in some great ways, but the producers tossed in a couple of nods to Lois Lane's of the past as well. The purple color schemes she wore on the show were clearly based off of similar designs seen on Superman the animated series. There are also a couple of moments where she calls Clark Smallville, a nod to the cartoon and what Lois often referred to Clark as on the actual series, Smallville. What's an Arrowverse show without a corrupt politician? Arrow has gone through a ton over the years, and The Flash felt the same effects with Mayor Tony Bellows. Bellows was played by actor Vito D'Ambrosio, who has a connection to The Flash from playing a role in the original live-action series. So, who did he play on the original show? A cop named Tony Bellows. That's right. The character is used again, only he's no longer a bumbling cop, just a crooked mayor. Clearly, this is a different Earth than the original Flash, but it's nice to see the alternate forms of the citizens popping up and learning how they connect to the past. How cool would the whole Flash series be if everything took place on Earth too? The 1940s aesthetic and design is really appealing and fits with the modern world nicely. Even the phones on Earth too have some cool retro features, including the speed dial selection. While you may be distracted by the old school corded phone technology in the season 2 episode, pay close attention to the speed dial on Barry's phone. 3 of the options refer to Bruce, Hal, and Diana. Clear references to Bruce Wayne, Hal Gordon, and Diana, Princess of Themyscira. Those are Barry's Justice League pals in the comics, and clearly the Earth 2 Barry was way ahead in his heroics to already have these League members on speed dial. When Elseworlds Part 2 gave us our first introduction to Gotham City, we were all pretty wowed at all the references to Batman and Bruce Wayne. Not only was the password to enter Alfred, but some of the small details even connected to the classic 1960s Batman series. As Kara goes through some of the office boxes, she picks up and inspects a bronze bust of William Shakespeare. The same exact statue was used in the Adam West Batman series. The head would flip up on the statue to reveal a button with access to the Batcave. Before Barry Allen and Iris finally hit things off, he was involved in a relationship with Patty Spivot. Even though Patty was nice enough, the show needed her out of the picture to really help propel the Barry and Iris thing, so Patty was sent away, but not to some random location. In a close-up of her acceptance letter, we see she got into Midway City University. Well, in the Silver Age of DC Comics, Midway City was once the home of Hawkman and Hawkgirl, making a great connection before we even met those characters on the show. In the Elseworlds crossover, Clark Kent decides to devote his life and love to Lois Lane by proposing to her. But do you think the Man of Steel has time to shop at the jewelry stores and pick out the perfect ring? Think again. In an epic moment, Soups takes a piece of coal and puts so much pressure on it that he instantly turns the material into a diamond to give to Lois. The moment is not only a nice romantic gesture, but it's taken from Superman 3, where Clark did the same thing. In the Arrowverse, characters go through all types of injuries and ailments. Most of the time, the characters are able to heal and move on from those issues, but this was not the case for Francine West, Iris's birth mother, who was absent for a majority of her life. When we meet Francine in present day, we learn that she's been diagnosed with the fictitious Mcgregor Syndrome. Does the disease sound familiar? Well, it's the name given to the illness Mr. Freeze's wife suffers through in the film Batman and Robin. Yep, even the Arrowverse found a way to connect their shows to the Joel Schumacher Batman universe, and they managed to do so without any puns about cold and ice. Time to end the video on what else? The Elseworlds crossover. Seriously, there was just too much to take in, including all the inmates at Arkham Asylum. Arrow had previously showcased a tease at Harley Quinn in the past, but the inmates' doors in Arkham revealed almost the whole rogue gallery of Batman villains. Instead of monikers like the Riddler, the characters' real names were featured on the doors. There's Isley P for Poison Ivy, Carlo B for the original Clayface, Cobblepot for the Penguin, and Nigma for the Riddler. At one point, we even see a fear gas canister belonging to Jay Crane, better known as the Scarecrow. It would have been awesome to see all these villains make a brief appearance, but the DCEU probably prevented that from happening. Well, we guess it's time to binge watch all of these shows again and check out everything that we missed. What small moment was your favorite? Any great Easter eggs that we completely missed? What's your favorite Arrowverse show? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Screen Rant for more great content.